but in later life, including in the politics in this chamber. Thank you.
David Shearer.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to take another call on this bill, and particularly on Clause 8, following on from what my colleague Pete Hodgson was talking about in terms of transparency. I mean, if there is one or perhaps three aspects that are certain about the implications and the impact of this bill, is one, that the student associations will die and wither, because that has happened everywhere where this has occurred, and Pete Hodgson gave the reasons of why that happened. And we in the Select Committee, Mr. Chair, listened to the Student Association of Australia, where a similar piece of legislation came in, and in practically all of their universities, the student associations withered and died and became a mere vestige of what they were before. And what did they say to us? They said to us, don't go down this path, it's not worth it, it will seriously degrade the quality of life on campuses across your country. That's what they said. All of them said that. They recommended, Mr. Chair, they recommended that we do not go down this path. Not only that, Mr. Chair, but I just want to... What they are doing in Australia is actually reinstituting compulsory or the student association fees. They're going back to what they had before. And why are they doing that? Very, very simple, Mr. Chair, very simple. The student services that were once provided by the student associations in Australia, student services that once were provided were being provided by the institutions. The universities themselves and the PTEs and the polytechnics stepped up and provided the same services that the student associations once provided, except at a much inferior level of contribution. So what ended up happening, Mr. Chair, is the students ended up paying compulsorily a fee to the university, a fee to the institution, to get an inferior quality of service on all the various aspects of student life that they missed out on before. That is a certainty. That is the number one certainty of what happens when you bring in this piece of legislation. This piece of legislation, Mr. Chair, as I said before, is a piece of ideology looking for a problem or looking for a cause. Nothing more than that. There is absolutely no doubt that what will happen is that the institutions themselves, the universities, will end up having to levy students a fee which students will not have the option of opting out from as they do now. As they do now, they are free to opt out and provide and give that money to a worthy cause. They will not have that option. And why is that? Why is that? Because the universities accept, as we all do when we went through university, that this is not about providing services which are somehow optional or whatever. The creches, the health centres, the counselling centres, the areas, the places of worship, the sports clubs, the cultural clubs, the advocacy, and all that goes with it, that provides the whole sort of rich nature of the university life. What happens, Mr. Chair, is that we all accept that it's not about a compulsory. It's not about a compulsory aspect, Mr. Chair. It is an essential part of an institution. So if we look at Clause 8, Mr. Chair, I would like, and then an amendment will come through, I would like to actually say, if this is about transparency of information in this clause, I would like to see us list down what the student associations will not be able to provide as a result of this legislation. will not be able to provide. If we're going to be able to say, this piece of legislation will take this away, let's say that the Student Association is no longer responsible in the particular organisation that it's in of providing the creche, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Call
Mr. Chair.
Honourable Member
Mr. Chair.
Jamie
Mr.
Lee
Chair.
Ross.
Mr. Chair.
I move that the question be